What's good, everybody? Y and Z here. The Divide. You know what we do. Member of Generation Y, aka Millennial, myself gets up with a member of Generation Z, that young whippersnapper over there, Jay Clark, Xavian Lewis. We talk about life and wherever that may go. Really trying to find out where the differences and similarities are in between the generations, because we all know Gen Z is special. They different. Um,
Oh,
like,
oh,
share, subscribe, follow us, all that good jazz. Sir, you all right this week? How you doing?
yo, what's going on, everybody? Look, I'm amazing this week. I ain't gonna hold you. It's a great week to be alive, you know.
Any
And
week is a great week to be
I
alive.
think, I think I got one for these millennials today, because especially about something I think they be avoiding. But we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. So, Clark, you got anything else before we start, man?
Go ahead. Let's
All
see
right,
what you got. Say what you got on the table.
think this is just my take. I think millennials were so focused on success that they missed out on relationships. And that's why you have most millennials. Now, I can't talk about you, but since you are a resident millennial, I got to talk to you
Talk
because
to
you took a different route than the rest of them.
talk to me.
But am I lying to say that most millennials are still single, still in the dating pool, still trying to find that right one because they spent their 20s chasing success instead of actually, looking for success and a partner? Have most millennials missed out?
Let's see here. You're making me look up some statistics now. Let's see here.
Just think about it.
So, according to a variety of different sources, the census, Fortune magazine, it puts it between a quarter of 40-year-old millennials have never been married. I'm not 40 yet. Um, More than one in that's everybody. Approximately 59% of millennials are getting married. So that makes sense. So about 60%, which apparently is lower than compared to baby boomers, which was 72 and 65 of Generation X. Not too crazy. Um, I think what you saw, or what you're seeing with millennials was really that first. I don't even want to say it. See, I don't even want to say it like that. And unfortunately, I'm not a woman. So I'm trying to tread carefully here. Um, while we were coming up,
Oh, but I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I see where you're going with this. I see where you're going with this
while
though.
we were coming up, you had the surge or the introduction of quote unquote the independent woman. You saw that a lot in 90s
Right,
in
right.
90s media. It was all about, after I guess success in the 80s and things changing. 90s was a new era. You saw, independent women, living single. The sisters are out, sisters are doing it for themselves to take who was that? Aretha Franklin's
Right, 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 right,
Aretha
right.
Franklin's lyric. And so I think what you're seeing is we were the first generation witnessing that, and now you're seeing us in the scene afterwards. But I mean, the dating scene is trash right now, all across the board.
Bro, but I'm gonna tell you why I think it's trash though, because it's filled with people more concerned about their own success. And don't get me wrong, you should be concerned about your success. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
But I think it's just filled with a lot. Like, I don't think people understand that like relationships come with sacrifice.
Yeah,
Even some like even small sacrifices just to be able to date a person. Like, you like, why am I sacrificing something on the first date? Hey, you just, that's why you sacrifice a little bit. Like, even the fact of just putting yourself out there is a personal sacrifice anyway. Like, you letting this complete stranger getting to know you, that's a sacrifice right there. So I think we're just more concerned about, well, not we, because I think I'm gonna be honest. I think my generation, they get into business and they ain't playing. Like, I'm not gonna
we,
hold.
sir, we just talked last week how y'all are so freaking lonely. So you
No, no, no,
come
no,
on
no,
here
no, no, no,
talking
no,
about
no, no,
y'all
no,
are
no, no,
lonely,
no,
and then
no, no,
y'all
no,
are the
no.
ones getting down to
That's
business.
why. No, no, no. But like, so no, 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 no. Let's get it straight. The ones that are lonely are super lonely. Don't get me wrong. But when they find somebody, they be marrying people in like 1 to 2 years.
That's not uncommon throughout history, though. Like, because it's always been a
It's
debate.
uncommon in y'all generation though. We out here getting married before we 25.
See, this is one of those ones I think it real one, it all depends where you live. Because I
Right,
think
right,
part of it is there's a huge dynamic between city youth and
right, right,
suburban youth. Like
right.
when you get outside these cities, yeah, some of these like, yeah, people are still getting married as young as they've ever been getting married. It's a focus. I think what you're seeing, especially in some of these cities where the cost of living is so high, and yeah, you may be a little bit more focused on your status and success, like DC, Houston, and like you're seeing in
Yeah,
cities, yeah, that gets put off a little bit more because there's other things I may be trying to focus on. But honestly, the narrative out there is people are not finding relationships. It's so much of a like, and I was like I said, this is not a world that I really partake in anymore. This year marks
yeah,
9 years
yeah,
of marriage for me. Like I was never big on. I never got into the apps. I never got into online dating. And all, like I never had to. I
yeah.
was out the game
I
before that.
couldn't. I promise you,
So
I couldn't tell you what they look like, and it's just like I think what it is, and I was talking about this the other day at work with some coworkers, right? Because both of my, so I'm an assistant manager, the other two assistant managers, they're millennials.
okay,
And so we were having this back and forth argument. Well, we were the pioneers, and I was like, but I mean, okay, what you're basically saying is y'all were the lab rats, like, but we were talking about
yeah,
relationships and stuff, and they were just like, it's just that they were focused on their success more than they were really kind of, focused on finding a relationship with somebody. And then, like you said, the dating pool is trash.
yeah. Like I said, it really
It's
comes
trash.
down to where you are. It really comes down to where you are. And yeah, in a sense, yeah, we were the lab rats because if you didn't get out the game soon enough, you got hit with this new digital age of dating, and that's on top of everything societal, because you look at a
Right,
society,
right,
people are, unfortunately, people are putting things off longer. We are trying to find that success, that happiness, that personal self-worth, all this therapy work, which I'm not shooting down or anything like that, but people are extending these things, and so it's not happening as sooner, or some people are just choosing not to in general. You've got women more empowered ever than history. Like it's a whole mess of stuff, which has created an ugly dating pool. But I don't think people are just out here like, there are some, it's not going to happen, but I think the majority is just really trying to find that medium of a worthwhile partner, and that dynamic keeps changing about what standards are, what they should be, how we should approach this. Because it's all about, well, courting is dead. Okay, then you got another argument. Well,
right.
if I come court you, then I look weird, or if I approach you, I'm a stranger danger. Like it's so much stuff I'm not really trying to get into right now. This
Like,
unfolds.
so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. So, like, how long you been married, Clark?
9 years, 9 years, and
How old, how old are you?
I am 37. I got married at
37.
28.
You got married at 28. Why did you marry your wife at 28?
Why did I marry my wife at 28? Well, that just happened to be where I was. Like that's just the age that, that's I met this great woman during Delta Centennial. Shout out to the Deltas. I was a man on a mission to find a wife during that great time because so many great women in the area of Washington, D.C. I was not leaving that area without finding me a wife, and it just so happened.
Yeah,
But I met my wife, and she met what I was looking for. She, personality, the way we interacted, beliefs, thoughts, how she wanted to go about life. And it was just like, at some point, and this is to the fellas, at some point, yeah, you do got to be like, all right, I need to pull the trigger and stop BSing.
yeah, yeah,
It's like, okay, yeah, this is it.
yeah.
Spend some time in prayer and talking with the fellas. It's like, yeah, this is
And I
it.
think now I will take the bullet on this one. I think that's kind of where my generation falls short. We'll meet somebody that's great. We'll find them. They'll be awesome, but we don't never follow through.
And I think that's a problem because
And
you mentioned it earlier. A big part of success can be relationships, especially as men. There's plenty of studies out there that say,
right, 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 right.
men who are married, married with a good partner, live longer lives, more fulfilled, all that kind of jazz. And I will certainly, it's better than being single for the most part in some aspects. But I think part of it is trying to find that balance. Like our generations together have kind of had this focus of, self success, exploring the world, living the world, seeing all the stuff, and we believe we can't do that necessarily with someone. Like we, for some reason, we have this belief that I have to
It's
be
either
whole
or.
and complete. I have to be whole and complete and do all the things I wanted to done before I get married versus there's nothing that says you can't build with someone, can't grow with someone and do these things. Like, and so it's a lot of it is perspectives and how we are viewing about things. So I think what happened was the world was so far left on this one issue that we've kind of swung it so far right because we didn't want to be left. And it's like, okay, this ain't quite right, but we're still trying to figure it out.
Right.
But you
And
know,
I
yeah,
think it was like, I think that was almost because the overlapping narratives that we heard from like Generation X or generation, the baby boomers or whatever. Because when we would ask them, we would ask those people who had 50 years of marriage,
they would give you
how
the
did they
advice.
get through it?
Yeah,
The only thing sometimes that they would tell us was, oh, I wish I had time to do this. I wish I had time to do that. Not telling us not telling us all of the benefits that they did inquire. So like I think that it was just the narrative that was taught to us, and that's why we went so far left.
it goes back to what you said earlier, like very early about how relationships require sacrifice. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
we are under this belief that we can have our cake and eat it too. And
Right.
and, and like it's some progress bar. I'll be able to accomplish 100% of everything there is to accomplish. And unfortunately, no, that's not the case. There are some things you have to sacrifice. So it's like, okay, yeah, cool. I got married at 28. So I sacrificed an early 30s living of being a successful and being able to date whoever I wanted, sleep around, whatever. Like yes, there are sacrifices and choices that must be made, and that's life.
Right.
That's life in general. And unfortunately, which is a point I'll have out with you another little later at some other date, because one of my takes is y'all don't want responsibility and choices and things of that nature. We'll get into that another time because that's
Bruh.
a
It's
deep
it's
hole
just
to go
like
down.
what the Rugrats said.
I
Responsibilities.
don't want responsibilities. Unfortunately, unfortunately, there is no pause button. Life will move on,
No,
and y'all
no.
get left behind in some aspects. But that's a whole nother road to go down to at a different later
Ooh,
time.
that was a good conversation. That was a good like because I always, especially with you being a married man, a married millennial. Not, I mean, I'm not saying it's not a bunch of you all, but the ones that are married and the ones that are, in those healthy relationships, you all are a special bunch. You know what I'm saying? Because it's almost like the ones who are married and healthily married, you're almost kind of like you're the not the castaways per se, but you're not the majority. You're not the majority.
I think it comes back once again. Unfortunately, we are speaking from our own circles, so
Right.
very well may be true that the circle of people that the odds may not be in that favor. If thinking off the top of my head, in my friend, of all the people I know in my millennial group, it's probably about a 50-50 split. And like I said, it's all these different factors come back to where you are, what you're focused on, what you want. But at the end of the day, do what makes you happy. Like if you want to be happy in a relationship, yeah, you're going to have to sacrifice some things.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Ooh, you trying to get me in trouble because I was like, I'm not trying to be like women is trash and women is garbage out there or men is trash. But I'm not trying to step there just yet. Make it crucified anyway. But okay, whoo, sir, turning up the heat. We need some fun. We're gonna have a little
Hey,
fun.
hey, we gotta ask them. We gotta ask them. We might get crucified for it.
That's what we're here for. We talk about these things as we progress. We'll get a little deeper into some of these things. Yeah, you okay. This divide Y and Z. We're gonna have some fun because whoo, that was yeah. I need to know. This is a fun one. This I'm not talking about your loneliness or anything about this or why y'all so out here can't find that good partner. Um, Today, the day we're recording, which is January 23rd, marks the 40th anniversary of the release of that iconic song, Thriller, as a single. And so, as a whole, because y'all and y'all music takes are crazy, I just need to know, and I'm gonna just ask it bluntly like this, and I'm prepared for the disrespect that'll probably come out your mouth. What are your thoughts on Michael Jackson and why is he the GOAT?
Uh,
Feel free to tell me.
so,
Like I said I'm ready for the disrespect, but
so me personally, this is just me. I can't speak for the whole generation because
you
a
better.
lot of us grew a lot of us grew up experiencing Michael Jackson in the aspect of we love to play his game on the Wii. That let's be honest, most of my generation,
I mean,
that's how they fell in love.
let's state it. You were born in '01. Mike released
Oh,
his
too.
last studio
Yeah.
'02. Mike released his last real studio album in '01. So a lot of y'all were born in this world post Mike.
Mike was we yeah, basically
You're
we
on the
were born
downside of the
into a
hill.
world. Right. We were born into a world where Mike was already great.
Yeah,
There was
I
nowhere else for him to go.
where I was born when Bad was released. So I wasn't there for Off the Wall. I wasn't there for Thriller.
Wow.
But that period between Bad and Dangerous, he's still at his heights, the greatest of all time. You know, as a kid, I'm seeing the first Super Bowl halftime show of this stature with Michael
Wow.
Jackson as the artist. And Michael ruled so I was the top of the hill, but I'm on that other side, but still pretty close. Like still catching
So
it.
like my personal take on Michael Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
especially with me being a performer, me being an artist,
Mm-hmm.
me being a musician or whatever. Michael Jackson is a very intelligent mind. He's a genius, don't get me wrong. But he's still not my top five of all time.
In any genre,
He's top five in pop,
don't go
but like
there. Pop is not a genre.
overall, my
Overall.
overall top, nah.
So who? Okay,
And
so now you need to give me that top five. Who is your overall top five?
so in my mind, a place where I would have put Michael, Prince goes there for me.
I can't be mad at that because it's but like this man
So
this man was a force in culture and
almost
consumerism
definitely.
that y'all unfortunately will have never seen in a world. Like the closest thing we gonna get is Beyonce, and even then, she's still not touching the levels of how out there this man
Right. And
was in a monoculture.
and so it's almost like Michael Jackson hit every criteria of his time from being in a group with his family, lead singer then he gets his solo career and he just thrives. Beyonce does the same thing. She hit the criteria of her time. Girl group, solo career, thriving.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two basically criterias that they kind of hit that kind of makes them, kind of almost in different time periods per se. So it's almost like for me, Michael Jackson is not as important only because I feel like we were born into a world where he was already great. So we don't have that personal connection to him like other generations did. Because let's be real, generations. So let's just say a child, what is it? This 2024, a child in 2030, being born in 2030, you're not going to have as much of a personal connection to Beyonce as we do. Only because you feel a more personal connection to an artist when you grow up during their rise, their fall, or whatever like that. So I think that's the only reason. Like we acknowledge him. He's great. We give respect where respect is due. But it's just, I mean, like Thriller, great song. But I'm not about to fight somebody if they say Thriller is not one of the greatest songs of all time. I'm just not. I'm not. I can't tell. Like
Okay. And this is where I feel like y'all was just disconnect. Like y'all are so disconnected from what came before. Like I feel like if y'all lived in a world where things were where the culture was still similar to how it was before, you would understand. But because you don't, like
it was such a culture.
the
We
man, the man for
culture switch happened so aggressively during our childhood.
and then he died too. Like
Right, right.
you were 7 when he died. But it's like you like let's just take his like there has been no artist. And let's just take his solo part. This man literally was culture from like 1979 to 2005-ish. You know,
Yeah.
let's after like there wasn't a joke that wasn't being told about him. Songs constantly in play on the radio, world premieres of video. Like you have
No,
never been in a world where an artist, a music artist, had
it's
a
just that
prime
powerful.
time
No,
music video premiere where NBC 8 o'clock we showing the Michael Jackson video for the first time and motherfuckers is in front of that TV because it's must see. Y'all have never been in that world. So y'all don't really get a grasp of just how big this man, like the man changed the game in a way that y'all will never perceive because y'all are living in the house after it's been built. You're just like, oh yeah, this is a nice house. But
right.
y'all don't
Exactly. I
understand.
think
Y'all don't
that's a
understand
great comparison. That's a great comparison.
like what it took to build that house or how epic the fact that the house was built by this man. What how that makes it like so spectacular. Like the man ruled for 25 years. Unquestionable. Unquestionable. And he's still such a force now. Like he defined your favorite artist trait. Like there is no artist today in a sense that isn't trying to
That
replicate
hasn't right.
an aspect, not even the whole thing, just an aspect, whether it be a dance style or a music video or a song or a like to have an inch of the impact that he had.
Right. And that's why I said it's like we respect him, we study him, but to us, it's just like Michael Jackson is a monument, not a person. To you, Michael Jackson was a person before he was the monument.
I think it's a little bit of both. We got the because the monument was established like when I was like
Right.
we it the hype is that it's it wasn't no hyper when we were born. So because you didn't experience it, you have no way to compartmentalize it within your current scene. Is that the
Right. It's like I could compartment. It's like he's one of the goats. Bam. It's not like I can refute that. It's not like I can go up against that because my emotions aren't necessarily connected to it.
ooh, that's
So
a
it's like,
ooh, that's a scary that's a sad statement. I can understand it. But who
yeah, because it's like, okay, it's like we in history class learning about World War II. My emotions are connected to World War II because I'm only reading about it, learning about it, studying about it. I don't have a personal direct connection with World War II. And that's the same thing of Michael Jackson. Now, I'm a little different. I when I say love, I love Whitney Houston. Now,
okay, so let me ask you this then, since you brought her up. Because essentially it's the same issue.
right. It's the same thing.
So what makes you have more love? And I'm not in a ranking sense, but just
Yeah, right.
yeah, what makes you have more love for someone like Whitney versus MJ? Because literally practically almost the same type of thing.
Right.
What makes you have more love for her
And
necessarily? Why does she jump out to you?
and I think that's on a personal standpoint. I guess, individually, someone might have more love for Michael because of how they digested the information. So, like, listening to his music, watching his videos, reading about him, watching documentaries or whatever, someone might seriously develop an intimate connection with him, even though most of the knowledge that they've learned about him is after he died. But the way I digested Whitney's music, her information, just studying her vocal style or whatever like that, I took that in more intimately. Why? No real clue. I don't know. It's just, it's just, I guess, what I just liked more in my head. And then, like I said, I still like Prince just a little bit more than I like Michael. So on my levels, it's like Prince and Whitney is up here. Right below Prince is Michael.
Okay, so then let me ask you this, kind of taking a step back from this, because I'm curious. What's the best way we can converse? Because this is an interesting premise. The fact that because you didn't
Yeah,
experience it, you might not ever really understand it. What's the best way that we can converse about some things? Because we're going to get into these things
yeah.
eventually in a way that you can hopefully understand the weight, even though emotionally there is no ties. Because like because for me coming from my spot, it's like I understand the world you grew up in, and I see the difference. We see the shift.
Yeah.
but trying to paint for you the picture of what things were like before the shift so you can really understand. Because almost like the same thing could be said like why you might prefer LeBron over MJ. And then it's like
Right. Right.
just they're like you don't understand like the impact that this man had, but unfortunately you'll never like how can I best help you understand impact of an era that you weren't even a thought in?
Right. Right. I think the best way to do it is try to, but I mean, with somebody like Michael Jackson,
You
there
should
is
hopefully
still
understand it.
yet
But there's
no
gonna be some things that aren't gonna
right.
be as big, maybe, but
Right. But
impact.
the only way to do it is to compare it to someone modern day. I think that's the only way to even somewhat compare what someone in the past did is to almost just try to compare it to what we do know. So like trying to paint a picture to a young kid now, trying to tell them, trying to have them to have respect for Ray Allen, right? All a young kid now know is Steph Curry. But how do you gain respect for them in their mind for Ray Allen? You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like you have to be like, okay, you remember when Steph did this? Ray did it first. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that that could almost paint a picture in their mind of this is what happened back then. And it almost meant more back then because of what the times were.
Hmm. Okay, so let me try and paint this picture then in a way that you understand. Picture your TikTok feed, your Twitter feed, your Instagram feed, whatever it may be. I'm guessing like 75% content Michael Jackson. Whether it's jokes, whether it's skits, whether it's, covers of songs. Imagine that much content coming from this person because that's all like it was just that much of a forefront. It was
That's
everywhere.
crazy.
Think about this. Think about this. So here we go. The original, like today is the four, or when we record this, January 23rd, the 40th
Right.
anniversary of the release of the song Thriller. Thriller was the seventh single off the album. The album was released in like November of 82. Can you imagine a world where an album is
Wow.
lasting for over 2 years? Like, like imagine today
That's
it's
crazy.
popping from a project that dropped in November of 2022. I can't even name you something that dropped in November of 2022.
Nah, not a whole. And that's the thing. That's the polarizing thing. People wasn't just talking about a song. It was the whole album for Michael. Like people were anticipating the whole, and it's like that's almost like you said, that's almost unfathomable in current day times.
I mean, that's how you knew something was good because taking Michael out the equation, like it was no stranger during the 80s and 90s for albums to have 4, 5, 6 singles. like like we're in this age nowadays. Firstly, I don't even like albums, and then if you do put it out, it's we get hyped for 2 days before that Friday. By the time Monday comes around, it's forgotten about already.
Crazy.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. But before we move on, I gotta show one thing, just because
Mark, what you got, bro?
you can see how serious this conversation is. Like, bam, we don't play no games over here.
What in the world?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You see what that says? To Jason from Michael Jackson, signed by the man himself, the GOAT. It is in my man cave club. You need one more time? One more time? Go ahead and enjoy. Yeah.
Jason, I know we got to put each other on or something, but I want to know the story behind the same picture.
I'll tell you after. But put me on. Put me on to something, youngin. Put me on to something. Put me on.
And I've been, getting settled in New Orleans, getting settled down here, and I want to put people on because I think most people have a misconception about Mardi Gras, and I almost kind of did myself until I'm coming into the culture of the city. So what people fail to realize is, yes, there is Ash Wednesday, Fat Tuesday. Most people thinking I only want to come in for that one day or whatever like that. No, Mardi Gras is like starting from like the third week in January until like Fat Tuesday is the last day of Mardi Gras. And
Yep.
so last weekend they had they had a parade. It's a walking parade called the Crew of Chewbacca, and it's a whole parade for sci-fi fans, things like that. And it's 10 out of 10. And so I just wanted to put you on. I don't know if you knew, but like there's just so many, it's something for everybody. It's literally something for everybody. It's a whole embracing of a culture. So I mean, I'm putting you on, I'm putting everybody on. If you always talking about coming to Mardi Gras, come like a weekend before, come 2 weekends before, and you'll still have that immersive experience that you would have had talking about just coming on that Tuesday.
So let me put you specifically onto something since you're living in New Orleans. And since I'll save my other one for a different time. For this one, have you checked out the Mardi Gras Museum down there? It's on the waterfront.
No, haven't even checked it out yet.
Go. So my recommendation to you, since you talk about Mardi Gras, and if anybody's visiting New Orleans or New Orleans, check out the Mardi Gras Float Museum. It's literally like it's literally the factory where they make and put together all the stuff for the floats that you see in the parade. So it's a huge, humongous warehouse filled with all kinds of characters, costumes, designs across the spectrum. They give you some of the history behind the parades, and so yeah, it's not just like one singular parade. There's parades all the damn
Yeah.
time, different scales. Yeah, you about to have a good. I've yet to be in New Orleans for Mardi Gras. That's where we got married. Actually, that's we got married in New Orleans because it was a good damn time. So yeah, New Orleans has a special place in my heart, and it's been a while since we've been back. Actually, hopefully we'll make a trip there soon, and I'll have to hit you up for that.
Hey man,
But
hit
yeah,
me
no,
up.
certainly check out the. It's not too far from downtown.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
On the waterfront. Check it out. Great, great times fitting in with that. So yeah, that's my recommendation to put you on to something as long as listening to as much Michael Jackson music as you can possibly handle, because it needs to be done. So before we get out of here, I'm not. So do you have a favorite Michael Jackson song? Is
Human
it
nature.
Human Nature? Okay, that's a good. That's a good.
Oh,
What's two and three? I'm just curious. What's your top three? Human Nature.
two.
Oh yeah, you ain't real. You ain't real.
No, I gotta think on it real hard.
Yeah.
Because I've never just given somebody a top three. So let's just say human nature. Let's go with remember the time. Because the mic was hot. The mic was hot. Oh, he killed that song real bad. Human nature. And then just for funsies, I most definitely will throw Billie Jean in there. Um, it's a classic to me. It's a perfect song.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that song.
Top three. Remember the time will always be number one. That's all.
Man, the song is
Number
really
one.
good. Remember, he was going in.
That's pure childhood for me. Like that, I was five. We wore that. My
Wow.
grandmother had one of them big stereo units in the house,
Oh,
and the living room had
yeah.
the surround speakers. We would wear that album out. So that's a special one for me. Um, just off jump, just because time is running out, and I hate giving top fives in some certain situations, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
Throw in Dirty Diana, and
Oh, great one. Great
it
one.
could either be Smooth Criminal or Bad. One is number three, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna work on you. We gonna learn you, but good insights all around, sir. But once again, this is Y and Z. Thank you for tuning in and joining in. Like I see, that's what we do here. We talk about culture, life from the perspectives of our two generations, because that one right there,
Yeah.
their heads
Brother,
are,
chill out.
they're different.
Chill
It's
out.
a different world. But we gonna learn them. We're gonna get them. We're gonna get them up to speed. Yeah, like, share, subscribe. You got a comment, make it. You got a question you want to ask. You got a take you want to
Ask-
make. Please let us know. We will bring it here. It doesn't have to always be something that I bring and he brings. We will gladly put your take on the floor and call you out for it if you
Yeah.
and discuss it. But yeah, Y and Z the Divide. Follow us on all social medias. I'm J Clark 787. That's the real Xavian Lewis. And until next week, yeah, listen to some Mike and peace.
Peace out, y'all.